Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Tyler, the host of the Unleashing DePIN podcast, and I am really excited that we are back. This is the first episode, actually, where we have more than one guest, but actually two guests from two different projects. So I'm really excited to introduce Maria from Fetch.ai and Leo from Peaq. Thank you so much for joining the podcast, everyone. I'm excited to get a chance to chat with you and learn a little bit more about what you're doing in the space.
Thanks a lot for having us on. Pleasure to be here.
Tyler. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, maybe the best place to start is if you could just share a little bit about who you are, kind of talk about your projects respectively, and then we can kind of dive into everything that you're doing in DePIN. And Maria, if you'd love to go first, I'd love to hear a bit about everything that you guys are doing over at Fetch.ai.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for having us. My name is Maria Minaricova. I'm the Director of Business Development at Fetch.ai. I have been with Fetch for just about 6 years. So from the beginning, we have been working on combining blockchain, AI, and agent technologies all this time. I'm really excited about the latest developments because for quite a while, we have been talking about agents, and nobody really understood what that is. And since this year, a lot more people are talking about agents, and it's just really good to see that. And you know how people are now understanding AI, the applications and implications, and all of that. So it's really great, and so happy to be here as well to discuss that.
Wonderful. What about you, Leo?
Amazing. Yeah, I'm Leo, one of the co-founders of Peaq. We've been similar to Fetch, working, but not in the intersection of AI and blockchain, but in the intersection of IoT and blockchain since 2017. Like not Peaq itself, but the three co-founders, we worked since then and built all kinds of enterprise blockchain cases with Audi, Gucci, and so on. Really gathered all the experience and understanding of what those applications need, and then started building Peaq in 2021 as we know it today. And yeah, Peaq is in a nutshell a layer one for DePIN. It's been a layer one for DePIN before DePIN was a thing, but now DePIN is a term, which is amazing. And yeah, it's basically optimized on building all kinds of connectivity, mobility, energy, and anything that you can connect and that can somehow provide goods and services or data applications, which we know as DePINs now. And yeah, happy to discuss because yeah, also the Fetch and ourselves, we do a lot together, and there's a common vision on different layers, but overall it's enabling a machine economy or economy of things where all kinds of goods and services are rendered, provided by machines, and doing that in a decentralized way.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, it's really interesting to hear about the intersections between DePIN, that's obviously had quite a run up in the last year in particular, and then of course AI, which has just dominated the conversation at sort of a more macro level. So I'm really excited to hear about some of those intersections. Leo, one thing, we were talking a bit offline. We quickly were talking about South by Southwest, which is sort of a big local conference here in Austin. Ironically, the first time I heard about this concept of sort of smart cities and all these interconnected devices was actually at South by back in, was it 2018? And so it's amazing to just see the progression of this sort of idea and some, different possibilities and how that's turned into an actually viable opportunity and something that you guys are directly helping do over at Peaq. So can you share with me a little bit about how this sort of DePIN narrative found its way into your respective projects and, how you found out about it? What was sort of that gateway drug, that introduction? And we can sort of dive in a little deeper.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we've been thinking about those cases, and when we look back into the smart city, right, we have had a project with Audi in the past where they said, hey, there are a lot of centralized charging platforms. It's super fragmented. The user experience is fragmented, and private individuals can't offer their charging stations to the public. So we kind of realized in 2019 already that based on Web 2, you can't really build a smart city. You can't build an ecosystem where everything can talk to each other, pay each other, and recognize each other, because it's all behind closed walled gardens. It's all in closed databases on different centralized platforms. And Fetch has been working on the same issue, right? On the intelligence layer, but we kind of realized smart cities can only really function and happen on Web3. It needs to be open, A car needs to be able to talk to a charging station, parking spot, pick people up from A to B, and all that needs to be done with the same identity on the same, not on the same blockchain, but on an open system, right, where it can happen. So we've been thinking about those use cases for many years by now, and have been building a layer one that comes out of the box with backend functionalities such as identity, access control, payment, data storage, data verification, because we realized all of those apps need the same functionalities. So we've been building that L1 for, back then we called it IoT, Economy of Things. And then DePIN came along around early this year. In January, we discovered the term. We're like, wow, we are a layer one for DePIN all along. And finally, Web3 gave it a fancy name, and projects can find us, and we can find projects to build on Peaq.
Yeah, and the rest is sort of history. We get to thank Sammy for coining the term that we now have come to know and love as DePIN. For a quick level set for folks who maybe haven't heard this term, smart city, can you just give a 30-second elevator pitch of what that is and how it directly relates to what everybody's trying to accomplish in the DePIN space?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So smart city relates to a city where anything, be it a parking spot or a dustbin or a charging station, everything is connected to the internet and smart. So you can book everything through phones or car directly. And the dustbin says, hey, I'm full, I'm empty. A parking spot says, I'm full, I'm empty. Then at some point you have drones, deliveries, all of that happening fully autonomously, right? And this is where Fetch also comes into the play, because you need an intelligence layer. But yeah, smart city is, a city that is smart without humans needing to do a lot for it to function. Let's put it like this.
That's great. I love that. Maria, what about you? What was your introduction to DePIN with all the AI work that you're doing over at Fetch? How did you first find out about it, and what was kind of the initial, oh, this is really an interesting application for AI? How did that come to be for you?
So I think the journey was similar to Leo's journey, that we have been talking about smart cities, about these various things, these various ecosystems which are heterogeneous. So that means that are many different players, stakeholders that are interacting together independently. They don't want to join one platform because nobody can really decide whose platform that should be. So we have been, participating in that space for quite a while, looking at the smart cities. But in addition to that, what we have been talking and working on are really the infrastructure and the support for agents to be able to represent these various stakeholders and so on. And there is even a part of the AI industry called multi-agent systems. And basically that's what we have been working on. So to be able to support that. Multi-agent systems where agents can represent people, devices, services, machines, basically anything, algorithms as well. And they can find each other, they can interact, they can exchange value, they can do economic transactions as well. So all these things we have been working on as well. IoT is part of that space. And so it's just coming more and more together. And as you mentioned, DePIN was just recently coined. So now we're calling it DePIN, but it has been around, whether it was called smart city, smart homes, smart other things, basically large ecosystems of heterogeneous things, devices, companies coming together and interacting together and transacting together.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And the AI intersection in all of these different capacities is just going to be instrumental to the success, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. because all of these machines, people and organizations, they all have data, generate data, and so on. And data on its own, that's not much. But once you start analyzing the data, you're getting information, and then you're getting insights and predictions. And that's really the value in the data. And you can achieve that really just by combining various sources of the data, correlating these various sources to achieve this additional valuable information that is hidden there, right? And so by allowing the communication between these various either machines or IoT devices and so on, you are then able to really bring it all together and analyze it on a much better level. And also then, provide economic incentives to those people that are participating in that data information value exchange. So this is all now coming together, providing, more clarity on what we're all building and how that will benefit, and also really providing and really setting up, finalizing these infrastructure places for these, things to happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. There is certainly a lot of potential here. Can you share a little bit more information about how you two are bringing these together through your projects, maybe a few applications or ways that's sort of manifesting in the real world today?
Totally, yeah. I think the best way to, like, we've been talking about this open smart city ecosystem now. So imagine you have all kinds of devices and machines. That's charging stations, solar panels, parking spots, cars. They are all there. They are all registered on an open network, and they all provide some sort of good or service. For example, a car offers ride-sharing services. A charging station offers charging services, parking spot, you can park there. And if we now think about an open, decentralized ecosystem, on a platform, it's easy, right? On a centralized platform, you say, I want to park, then you see which parking spot is available and you go there. But if you now turn this around and you say you have that open ecosystem where all those machines and devices offer goods and services, you need a intelligence layer, right? You need to be able to say that a charging station can say, I offer charging services for €5. The other charging station says, I offer it for €10. And the car saying, I offer rides for different amounts. And this is where the agents come in. You have suddenly machines, devices that can give updates on the data they have, the services they have, the prices they have. And then you have users who also have agents which can find the best services or the best routes. And you can now build those mega platforms, if you want so, which is not one single platform anymore, but like really anything that you can think about which can find each other, do business with each other and transact. And I think this is really where Fetch agents come into play. It kind of, you have the DePIN infrastructure, you incentivize people, but then you need to make it smart. You need to, make it interconnected and that those things can find each other and so on. And this is really where we see you have the DePINs, and then on top of it, you add, for example, Fetch agents, and then you can build platforms cross DePIN, like, charging DePIN, ride-sharing DePIN, solar panel DePIN. They suddenly all start doing business with each other because you add that intelligence layer above, which allows them to transact and communicate. And yeah, this is then going to be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to add that you can build your agents that are representing your machines in a way that they learn from the transactions. You can introduce reinforcement learning and so on. So, the agents learn from their individual transactions, just like you would as a person, right? Like if we interact and if we have a good history, then I know that you are a trusted source. So you can introduce these notions also to the agent. So and they can learn and develop over time and to really understand your personal preferences and really offer you a personalized, much more personalized service than you would if you, just logged into some platform where, they don't know anything about you and you don't know anything about them, right? So
Sure.
I think this is the next level. And what we're also building is actually a level on top of that where we enable natural language to be spoken and to be actually then broken down into and then allow finding the various agents that are really relevant for you, for the needs that you have, for the objectives to fulfill. And so this is the really exciting stuff this year, that we have now LLMs that are powerful and available to really bring the technology closer to us, to enable us use our natural language with these additional, really sophisticated systems behind, whether it's agents or various machines and IoT devices and so on. And it's just much more usable and much more close to what we would expect from our natural conversations and using, like I said, natural language. So these are really good developments, and really excited about what's happening.
Yeah, everything's happening so fast. You get these terms, people that are accelerating, people that are decelerating. I love that you guys are really accelerating these efforts forward. And I want to talk a bit about how people can, or developers and builders can actually start interfacing with these things in a little bit. But can you, at a high level or sort of a slightly in the weeds level, talk about the different aspects of how your respective ecosystems are built, sort of the technical components behind them, and just explain for folks who are learning what you're building, how all those different components maybe play with one another?
For sure. Happy to start. Yeah, so Peaq at the core fundamentally is a layer one blockchain built with the substrate framework, and then inside of that layer one blockchain, there are so-called pellets, which are backend functionalities such as identity for machines, access control, payment, data storage, and so on. So it's a blockchain that is not a general purpose layer one, but that comes with backend functionality, which runs on chain, that all those devices and DePINs need. So at the core, this is what Peaq is, and that enables anyone building a DePIN on top of the network to do that extremely fast and effective. We have tooling like SDK, and to make it super easy and simple to build DePINs very fast. And this is at the core Peaq as a tech stack. But then on top of it, we're working on different interfaces where you can simply add new devices and machines to the network in a smooth, easy process, or also going forward now some alpha tokenized machines. And yeah, so really making it as easy as possible for any DePIN to come and build the DePIN itself, build the application, and then also create all kinds of funding possibilities around that makes it easy to scale financially. And yeah, this is what we're doing, 100% focused on that niche, and yeah, machines, serving machines and those who build applications for those.
That's great. What about you, Maria?
Yeah, and so what we are building is also several technologies in parallel. One of them is the blockchain, but I would really just like to focus, and it's a layer one blockchain. It's based on it's Fetch.ai blockchain, and it's based on Cosmos SDK. And this is actually one of the really cool things, that you can then develop agents, and they can settle either on Polkadot, Peaq as Polkadot based blockchain. Agents can settle on Fetch, a blockchain which is Cosmos based, or any other. So the financial rails can be, anything that you really decide to have. What we are building are these agents, and you can, people that are listening, they can go check it out in agentverse.ai, and they can already start looking at the templates of the agents that are available there. They can build their first agents, and they can see how that works. And in order to be able to communicate with them, we have built this connection between the agents and what we call Delta V, is where you can use the natural language to actually find the agents. And these are the agents, and the Delta V platform are connected via services. So building your agent, register a service, and then you can be discovered on the Delta V platform. There's much more information on our website, Fetch.ai, and you can register your interest in the Delta V. We're currently onboarding slowly, so we're slowly having workshops and really explaining the technology so people can learn how to develop. But if people register their interest, we are then able to onboard them as we progress through the wait list. So I think these are really, interesting new technologies. I would definitely encourage people to look into that, try out some of the templates that are there, and start building is what I would say.
Yeah. Getting your hands dirty is always sort of the best way to get the optimal amount of exposure. Can you unpack a little bit about how the AI agents interface with on-chain, whether it's a machine identifier? Is that done through the Delta V component? How do the AI agents sort of interact, if you will, with the actual on-chain assets that are part of a broader network? Can you explain that a little bit?
I think I'll let Leo explain this particular integration, how we did it together, and then I'll explain how other things work.
Sure.
Happy to. Yeah. Actually, the agent, the Fetch agent is also able now to run on substrate-based networks. This is something that we've done. So it's also running on Peaq directly, actually, but
it's
registered and it's on chain, exactly, but registered in the agent verse. And so it is running on chain. It has an identity on chain, and that identity is also part of the agent verse. It's an almanac contract, it's called, with Fetch AI. And so every identity, every machine also has an agent identity, which is literally running on chain and executing tasks, learning, growing, and you can program it in a way like for specific use cases. You can adjust and customize the agents and let them learn and grow. So it's really a tool where someone could come and say, hey, I want to build a DePIN, or I want to upgrade my DePIN by adding agents to the different devices. That, for example, you have a solar panel energy DePIN, and now you add agents to it, so they sell and buy energy, or they sell energy into the grid when you make the most money, and then you buy energy from the grid when it's the cheapest. You can have like an agent doing this, right? So you can enhance your DePIN offerings through using those agents.
So basically, when you create an agent, you do a couple of registration. One is on the Fetch AI Almanac contract, which is sort of like this open marketplace where all of the agents can register. But like I said, it's open. It's not a centralized. It's completely decentralized because we're using the blockchain. And then they register again on with their particular IDs, SSI. We're using SSI methodologies on the Peaq network. And then they're able to communicate together, regardless of where they sit and which blockchain. They can even, do other things, and I'm sure somewhere else. But again, you're able to also query these agents using natural languages on Delta V. And then the transactions could be settled on Peaq, for example, as well as was mentioned. So what we're really trying to achieve together is to build like a really large ecosystem, regardless of where you come from. You can build an agent with your technology, with your AI components. Just bring in what you have, what you can, and define your own incentivization methods and your requirements, and build the technology around those. So we're not, prescribing you what to use. We're just enabling you to communicate with the other agents and with the other ecosystem participants and stakeholders. And then where you transact, how you settle, which tech parts of this tech stack you use, that's really up to you.
That's great.
Yeah, just quickly, cool to mention that you can have some sort of interoperability through those agents in terms of different machines, different users on different blockchains can, get each other's data and transact. Of course, then to settle assets, you need bridges, but just from a data exchange and availability of goods and services, that can be cross blockchain, and also very important in terms of having Web3 open and interoperable across ecosystems.
Absolutely. So I think this is kind of like a new thing. Like people are still not used to it, because even in the blockchain world, you usually have like, oh, this is my ecosystem. I'm on Cosmos ecosystem. Others are Polkadot or Ethereum or what have you, right? But really with the agent technologies, this is really open that you can use any of them for financial settlement. And the aim is, if we all together build a bigger pie, we will all benefit more from having our, piece of just a little bit larger. So, and this is why it's really great to work with Peaq and some other companies that we're working with, because we are, very like-minded, and we just want to build a cool tech for people to use. And it's just been really, really good.
Yeah. We don't need to go too far into the weeds. You mentioned, so you've built on Cosmos, and then obviously Peaq is a Polkadot substrate. Are there other chains that you've built some bridge layers or any kind of cross functionality that you can talk about? Or are those really the two priorities at the current moment?
Yeah, I mean, from our side, we have developed something that's called multi-chain ID, which with Fetch agents actually. So you can have an identity on Solana as well, Binance, Smart Chain, Ethereum, And then that identity is kind of reflecting the state. So for example, you have a charging station on Peaq that then also has an identity on a Cosmos-based chain or Solana, for example. And its availability is reflected across different chains, across different ecosystems, and is then also available to all the users that are there, or they can, interact with it. And we're currently, integrating bridge solution, which will bridge Peaq to all major ecosystems immediately. And that will then also allow financial settlements to run the background. So yeah, like we definitely see a multi-chain future. I don't think it will happen all on one place. Definitely not. There will be many different chains. And in order for Web3 to function, we need really good interoperability. And this is, one big step in that direction for the machine economy.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'd love to learn. I know a lot more about DePIN than I do about AI, but Maria, can you talk through how training some of these agents is a factor when it comes to connecting them or hooking them up to these machine IDs? What does that look like? What are the parameters for a developer going in? And can you talk about that a little bit for those who maybe don't know as much about AI?
Yeah. No, I'll just leave it on a high level because it can get really technical, and I think we want to just just explain it in general. So we're working with several different universities and research centers, and they're bringing their own AI algorithms. So, for example, here in Cambridge, where I am located, Cambridge, UK. We're working with the Cambridge University, and they're bringing their own optimization algorithms that you can then adapt and use with your agents and so on. And I know others also in Germany, they're building some interesting things. So basically, you can include that in your agent. And the good thing is that, we are not prescribing, again, we're just being very open. We're not prescribing you what algorithms you need to use. You can basically tap in all these really good resources from all around, the world, basically. So the difference between the current, most of the current, say, AI ecosystems is that if you, let's say you want to use some IBM stuff, so you kind of locking into that vendor, right? But with the agent, you can have two different agents with two different, AI components even from researchers. It doesn't have to be a huge company where you pay a lot of fees. So this is the good thing about decentralization using these agents. You can really build, small agents with some cool stuff from like researchers at the universities. And basically they get paid for their work. You get to use agent that you would not otherwise be able to afford, maybe if you had to buy a system from like a large company. So this is one of the things that we are trying to achieve, that we will enable, these cool new innovations from various places to be found, be purchased. Everybody wins when you have such a system. So like I said, I'm just keeping it on a high level.
Sure.
There is a very different ways how you can build AI systems and how you can then teach your agents to be optimized. This is all going to be, I think, much better when we can very soon actually show these demos in person and make them available for you guys to actually touch and feel.
Yeah. Oh, I know I'm personally excited to get a chance to get my hands dirty and start actually building some of these agents, because it is really, if anything else, it's really freaking cool. But obviously the benefits are just ginormous, and it's going to start affecting projects and users and builders in a real way. You've talked about some great examples with the smart cities. Are there any current in progress applications of your two technologies working in the real world that you're able to talk about, so folks can sort of hear about how this is currently being enacted today?
I mean, I guess what's cool, like just this week we released an integration with Bosch together, where Fetch and Bosch are working since many years already, and we're collaborating as well in different projects. One project is called MoveID. That is a big research and development project to set mobility standards in Europe for identity and data sharing. And I think a very tangible case there is, and that's probably a really cool one, where we together, Fetch, Peaq, and Bosch, and other partners, created a system that an identity of the car like the car got an identity on the blockchain, then was booking a parking spot and paying for that parking spot, and also booking a charging session and paying for that. That was built by Datarella, actually, who integrated all the solutions together. And this is a really, really cool use case because agents were used, Peaq network was used, the identities, the charging application, a charging DePIN from charge.xyz was integrated, parking DePIN as well. So many different logics, applications were put into like an open mobility ecosystem, and we're collectively building that infrastructure and showcasing how it can be used. Of course, this is not in full scale production yet, but kind of we're already showing that smart city scenario where, you know, your car is just booking a parking spot, paying for a charging session with the same identity, same payment method, completely open and decentralized, and using agents to find those parking spots, those charging sessions. Yeah, I think that is a pretty cool, tangible example where we also made a video. There was a Cointelegraph article. They came and interviewed us together. Yeah.
That's amazing. We'll have to link to that because I'm sure everybody's going to want to see how that was actually working out in the real world. That's really exciting.
Sure thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm personally quite interested in, DePIN as a category is really, I mean, it's amazing for a lot of things, but one of the really great aspects or components of it is that it's sort of democratizing these real world physical assets. How does, and I know that especially in the conversation of AI, there's these concerns that it's sort of going to be centralized within the few that control it, and then they become the beneficiaries by it. And so one of the things that I'm interested in is how are you ensuring that these AI agents, when intersecting with DePIN, are sort of built to benefit the masses and they don't become sort of centrally beneficial to just a select few that own and control it? Can you talk a bit about how that is part of your sort of ethos in the world, if you will?
No, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And as I mentioned, so agents, when you build an agent, you can host it, you can put it on your computer. You have your agent, I have my agent on my computer. So Fetch is not building infrastructure where where we're hosting. I mean, we have hosting on Agentverse as well, but you don't have to use it. You can use your own, say the automator makers, OEMs, they can have their hosting for their machines. But basically, everybody is responsible for their own data and what they share from their data, how they share it, and so on. So that doesn't happen on other platforms, right? Like other platforms, you sign up, you give them your name and password and all that, and you don't know what happens with your data after that. Here, because I have my own agent and I'm in charge of it, it's on my computer. Nobody else can access it. I only allow whatever data I choose to be visible and to be shared. I think that's the big difference. The fact that the agents are registering on the smart contract, again, smart contracts, blockchains are not going away. So it's not like there is a closed door where, we're just going to revoke, access rights or whatever. So these are the things that allow the openness of the I call it platform. It's not really platform, but ecosystem, right?
Sure.
And then, as I mentioned, the fact that you are able to then tap into all this really good, knowledge of researchers, of resources that are currently unavailable because they don't have any way to monetize their knowledge, their algorithms, and so on. This is how we really want to enable things. So bring these researchers in, bring these smart people, help them build these agents using their algorithms and put them on the market, and then have others find those and really be able to use them. So at the moment, if I want to have any AI, let's say some AI capabilities, I need to look what are the AI companies, and they're usually really expensive. You have to log in, you have to have contracts for I don't know what period of time. Here, we're enabling, AI as a service. So basically, pay as you go, pay per use AI systems that have not been enabled before. So I think this is really going to be a game changer. It's really going to open up the ecosystem and bring people in, try it out first, and see what happens. It's going to be, I think, similar like what ChatGPT has done, right? They came in, they brought in a whole new world of LLMs. Like if we had this discussion a year ago about LLMs, and I would be explaining to you like, oh, there are these LLMs, and it's going to be so cool. Like, you'd be looking at me like, oh, like, what are you talking about? But because they made it so easy to use, it's fun to use, and it's beneficial. Anybody can use it. However, with the current Web2 platforms like that, they can revoke the access at any point. So with agents, we're not doing that. So agents register in the blockchain, in the smart contract. It's all open. You bring in your components. You can make them. Then you can sell them to others, and it's really open and interoperable and flexible. So
permissionless.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think I would just add that it's really here building tools and technology for community powered infrastructure and networks, right? Anyone can participate, anyone can start offering goods and services, and those are kind of Fetch and ourselves. We're building tools and infrastructure for those applications to happen. Traditionally in Web 2 you have great technology, it's behind walled gardens. You try to monetize it on your own as much as possible as a centralized service. But here we're building tools and infrastructure for communities to start offering decentralized services where everyone can participate. It's open, it's permissionless, and all the people who drive taxis and will be automated soon, they can then soon invest in robotaxi fleets and earn from their revenues. And you like have open robotaxi services where everyone can own and have a share in it, in comparison to centralized robotaxi companies that just make all the money by themselves. So yeah, right. It's exciting.
That's great. I think that's well said, and really is important for sort of continuing the democratization of these different technologies. And I think that will help be sort of the rising tide that lifts all ecosystem participants, given the open and permissionless nature of it. I'm really interested in how do people start building, or how do developers actually start building? You touched on it a little bit, but what does that look like from going in and actually building an AI agent? Can you take us a little bit deep on what that looks like?
Yeah, I would say the easiest is to go to agentverse.ai and just sign in. You need to use the Google Gmail account and just look at the templates. There are already some templates that you can see how these are simple agents, right? We have some more examples on the Fetch.ai GitHub, and so some simple examples how to build simple agents. And then as you learn, as you progress through that, you can then see how you can attach agents to sensors, like what we have done with Peaq. We're going to be releasing some of those examples for the community to start building around as well. And basically, that's how you progress. And it's, I would say it's really easy. I wish we could show you maybe some other online workshop we can organize where we actually take you through that, show you the steps, how simple that is. Because if you look at some of the agents examples that we have, I mean, from the Agentverse, you can already launch the agent there, and you can see the logs. I wish I could show you, hopefully some other time, but we are really making it super easy so people can just check it out, try it out. And yes, these are simple examples, but there will be more complicated ones where you also then include the AI, or these other reinforcement learnings and so on. But people need to start with some simple examples, something that they can launch quickly, and we have those there.
Sure. Yeah, we'll definitely have to coordinate doing like a live demo for people, because I think that would be incredible to see hands-on. Let's definitely coordinate doing something like that. So what's ahead for these AI agents? Obviously, AI is advancing at a rate that I personally was just shocked by, especially everything we've seen over the last year and whatnot. But what does the future look like for these AI agents with Fetch and sort of the intersection with Peaq?
Happy to go first here. I mean, what we've done now is we have made the agent framework adaptable on Peaq as well, and we've showcased now the first use cases on how it can be integrated and how they can be used. And the sort of next steps are really, like you're saying, making it super easy to see and follow, and creating templates, right? This is how, and there's already one in the Agentverse where an agent can get weather data and then send that weather data to another spot, right? So that's a really cool DePIN use case. You have any sensors, weather stations that record weather data, and then you have an agent that is kind of sending that data to anywhere in the world where that weather data could be requested right now. And it's really there on us to deliver a few examples on how that can be used and how it can be integrated, make that super simple, and then let the creativity of the open source and DePIN community thrive to create new super cool services. And I think another one is really with the intersection. Another point is with Bosch, right? Really, we have released that first Bosch XDK integration with Fetch together, and going deeper in there, seeing which other hardware makes sense to integrate and showcase also to use Fetch agents together with Peaq and the DePIN model.
That's awesome. No, it's really exciting, and I'm sure the future is going to be increasingly bright as those things just progress and advance. For those that are interested and they want to get involved, they want to start building, what are some of the best ways that people can get involved? You shared a couple of these sites where people can start going and trying to build their own or you interface with some of these template agents. What are other ways that folks can get involved with both of your projects, whether it's at the community level, at the contribution level, as the sort of a customer? Can you share how people can stay up to date with everything you're working on?
I would say follow us on social media. We're quite big on Twitter, also Telegram. But really, I would just say try out the few examples of the agents, because they're honestly super simple. We will have to organize another workshop with you, Tyler, to really show this, how you have, like Leo was mentioning, there is a really good examples of weather agents where you just have a simple line of, maybe 20 lines of code, which is not much. And you can run the agent right there in the agent verse, and you can get the results for the weather location. You can change the location. And then we have some other examples where one, you by click of a button, you launch 2 agents. Really, it's that simple. And these
Amazing.
one agent says, I have this data, and the other one says, I want that data. And they exchange the data. And then a third example that we have on the agent verse is where one actually says, I have the data, and the other one is buying it. So you have that token exchange as well. And the fourth in that weather example series, fourth one is about smart contracts. So you have an agent basically providing data, and the other one making it an oracle, putting that data on a chain. And so you will look at those simple examples, and then you can start thinking like, how does that relate to what I would like to see, or what I would like to make, or how does that relate to my use case? So I would really say start simple and just try it out. It's not much coding at all. And then, you get that excitement of, yes, I can have my things, running. And that just gets you going and interested in more complicated use cases. And I'm sure with Leo, we would like to be back and just actually show it to you how easy it is to use.
I just wanted to say I tried it myself, and it is really simple and straightforward. You can sign up and just get going.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to link that below for everybody, including some of those examples, and we'll absolutely coordinate a time to do a demo, because I know everybody would be excited, including myself, to see that sort of live happening. That would be great. Well, are there any other final points that you wanted to add before we wrap it up? This has been, for me, just really interesting to hear about what you guys are doing together, all the advancements going on. But were there any final things you wanted to share with everybody before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think one exciting thing to share is that, both Fetch and ourselves, we've been working on that machine economy, open ecosystems for many, many years now. And finally, I would say since this year's, things are happening, right? On the AI side, but also the DePIN term was coined. So this is happening, right? There are a few amazing DePIN use cases, AI use cases, intersections of DePIN and AI. There are many great projects that are already successfully living at that intersection. And I would say it's pretty exciting that this is finally happening. And there's still a lot of infrastructure development. We will see what comes next year and in the next 5 years. But the hype and the hype cycle is now reaching a maturity level where actual real world adoption and use cases are happening. And it's super important because it's going to transform society for good, for better. And it's important that it happens on Web3, because on Web2, it's just going to end up in the pockets of a few big companies. It's we got to be automated without the possibility to participate in that value chain. And yeah, this is being changed here.
That's incredible. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and getting to share about your different projects and all the things you're working on. We're certainly going to get that demo scheduled, so we'll keep everybody posted about when that is going to happen. But in the meantime, I'll be sure to link both of these projects' websites, Twitter, all of that kind of good stuff, including some of those demos. So Maria and Leo, wanted to thank you so much again. We'll wrap it up here, everybody. Be sure to go check out what they're doing. And this is just going to happen faster and faster. So this is the perfect time to be talking about it, to get people sort of in the fold of what's happening. And we're just really excited for you. So again, we'll wrap it up there. Wanted to say thank you so much, and really excited to get that demo coordinated.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot for having us, Tyler.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.